broken promise. You and me. Until the end.
The crew aboard a ship pulls an old iron chest from the ocean floor. Leading the operation is Discord, a mysterious woman who has been hunting the chest for a long time. When they finally open it, they discover Gwen, an immortal woman trapped for centuries. Once Andy's partner, Gwen has now returned with her own plans. After centuries in the dark, she finally breathes again. This is the old guard too. The scene then shifts to Croatia, where Andy, Niall, Joe, and Nikki carry out a mission under orders from Copley. Their target is Conrad, an arms dealer hiding in a heavily guarded mansion. Andy, now mortal but still in command, leads the team. To breach the mansion, Joe and Nikki steal 2 cars to create a distraction. With the guards occupied, Andy and Copley slip in from another side, while Niall keeps watch from a boat nearby. Inside, Andy relies on her centuries-old sword skills, fighting with precision despite being vulnerable to injury. When progress slows inside, Niall takes action. She sneaks through the garden and crashes her boat into the mansion's side, forcing Conrad to confront her. Armed guards respond quickly, pushing Niall to retreat inside where she joins Andy and Copley. Outside, Joe and Nikki are chased by guards. Nikki switches cars and aggressively clears a path, knocking down motorcycles. However, the risky move causes their car to skid, crash, and nearly plunge into the sea. Upstairs, Andy and Niall find Conrad. A fierce gunfight breaks out, ending with Conrad subdued and killed. The mission is declared a success, and the team reunites for a small celebration. Soon after, Copley receives new intel from his old network. Conrad was only a middleman. The real target is a mysterious woman caught on security cameras. Niall immediately recognizes her from recurring dreams. In these visions, the woman breaks into an archive, stabs a man, and steals books. Niall senses the dream is more than a nightmare, as it is connected to reality. Meanwhile, in Paris, Booker, a former old guard member exiled for betrayal, is shocked when Gwen appears in his apartment. Without explanation, Gwen captures him and disappears. At the same time, the old guard team plans a vacation to Paris. The trip is a cover. Andy and Copley are secretly preparing to head to Korea to investigate the mysterious woman from Niall's dream. Meanwhile, Joe chooses to isolate himself from Nikki, claiming he needs peace. His strange behavior raises suspicion. Concerned, Nikki asks Niall to discreetly follow Joe and uncover the truth. Elsewhere, Gwen interrogates Booker about Andy's whereabouts, venting her anger and feeling deeply betrayed. To Gwen, Andy broke an old promise by never trying to find her while she was trapped at the ocean floor. Booker tries to explain that Andy did search for her, but always failed. Despite this, Gwen refuses to believe him and feels utterly abandoned. For her, this betrayal is unforgivable. Meanwhile, Joe arrives at Booker's apartment to find Nikki and Niall already there. The team has agreed that no one is allowed to meet Booker for 100 years as punishment for his past betrayal. As they search the apartment, Niall discovers a damaged floor with scratch marks. Booker is nowhere to be found, suggesting something serious has occurred. They conclude that Booker is likely in danger. Attempts to contact Andy fail. At the same time, Andy and Copley arrive at a secret meeting point in Korea. Andy reunites with an old acquaintance, Tua, the second immortal after herself. She explains her mission, to uncover the identity of the woman from Niall's dream and understand why the dream feels so real. Tua immediately recognizes the woman. He reveals she's an old friend and leads Andy and Copley to a hidden room filled with books, the very place from Niall's dream. They realize Tua is the man stabbed in the vision. Tua explains that months earlier, Discord came here and stole important books containing records of every immortal human ever known. He then shares a startling truth. Andy, or Andromache, is not the first immortal. Discord is the oldest, the very first among them. Tua recalls that thousands of years ago, when Gwen was punished and thrown into the sea, Discord was by her side. During their conversation, Andy admits she is no longer immortal. Tua is shocked and disappointed, but still respects her and offers help because of their history. Andy and Copley bring Tua to meet the rest of the team. Soon after, Joe receives a call from Booker. Booker requests to meet Andy directly due to an urgent matter. Sensing danger, Andy temporarily lifts Booker's punishment and orders Joe and Nikki to pick him up. When Booker finally reunites with Andy, he reveals that Gwen has been freed. He also hands over a letter from her addressed to Andy. The letter invites Andy to meet at a place they once shared. Without hesitation, Andy decides to go. Niall feels worried about Andy's mortal state and fears what might happen. Andy and Niall travel to Italy, arriving at a remote village. Andy goes to the meeting spot while Niall stays nearby, watching closely to protect her. At their destination, Andy finally confronts Gwen. Gwen expresses deep disappointment, accusing Andy of abandoning her. She insists that Andy never returned for her, despite promising always to try.
Broken promise. You and me. Until the end.
Gwen reveals that it was Discord, not Andy, who saved her. Andy tries to explain that she searched for centuries but always failed. However, Gwen refuses to listen and accuses Andy of changing, choosing a new team over their old promise. The tension escalates until Gwen storms off, with Andy following close behind. Their heated argument soon turns into a physical fight. Mid-duel, both pause when Discord appears in the distance. Niall immediately pursues Discord while Andy continues battling Gwen. During the fight, Gwen reclaims a necklace she once gave Andy, then slips away, leaving Andy behind. Meanwhile, Niall catches up to Discord at an old church. Discord does not attack, but reveals a shocking truth. Showing a birthmark on her hand, she claims to be the first immortal, with Niall as the last. Discord blames Andy for interfering too much in human affairs, which she says endangered the immortals. She tells Niall that Andy's choices cost her family. Then Discord offers a partnership, inviting Niall to join her in destroying Andy. Confused and conflicted, Niall watches as Discord disappears. That night, Booker visits Tua, who is researching ancient records. Tua concludes that only the first and last immortals can remove immortality from others. This insight reminds Booker of the fight where Niall accidentally stabbed Andy, likely causing Andy's loss of immortality. He suspects Discord knew this all along and is manipulating Niall to destroy them. Tua discovers more records stating that immortality can be transferred if the giver is directly attacked by either the first or last immortal. Booker begins planning to secretly transfer his immortality to Andy as atonement for his past betrayal. Elsewhere, Gwen, still furious and feeling betrayed, vows revenge on Andy and her team. Discord fully supports this goal to destroy the immortals from within. Meanwhile, at the Serpong nuclear facility in Jakarta, a truck crashes through the gate. Gwen leads the assault. Discord and her forces arrive shortly after, killing all guards and clearing the way. Gwen infiltrates the facility to plant bombs at key points. The next day, Booker approaches Niall while she trains in martial arts. He invites her to spar, hiding his true intentions. Tua watches and joins in. During the match, Booker deliberately lets Niall injure his hand, causing it to bleed. He knows that only an attack from the last immortal can strip immortality. Afterward, Booker asks Tua to keep his plan secret. He decides to transfer his immortality to Andy in order to make up for his past mistakes. Before his immortality fades, Booker secretly gives his power to Andy. The team remains unaware of this personal sacrifice, which serves as a quiet redemption for his betrayal. Shortly after, Copley gathers the entire team to review the latest CCTV footage from the Serpong nuclear facility. The video reveals Gwen and Discord's forces launching a brutal attack, planting bombs at several critical points. Niall carefully analyzes the pattern and warns the team that this is a trap. She recalls Discord's earlier warning that they would suffer before total destruction. Despite the risks, everyone knows they must act quickly. The bombs could kill thousands if not defused immediately. With time running out, the old guard devises a plan to infiltrate the complex. Copley remains outside to monitor the situation while Andy, Niall, Booker, Joe, Nikki, and Tua enter the facility together. Inside, they are ambushed by armed forces loyal to Discord. Close combat erupts as the team fights fiercely to hold their ground. Amid the chaos, Joe, Nikki, and Tua push toward the control room to locate the bombs. Meanwhile, outside, Copley spots a suspicious figure near the trees. When he leaves the car to investigate, he is ambushed and cut off from the rest of the team. In the control room, Joe, Nikki, and Tua face a sudden and overwhelming assault. Discord's troops deploy liquid nitrogen weapons, freezing the three instantly. They lose consciousness and are captured, part of a calculated plan to divide and weaken the team. Elsewhere, Andy and Booker battle their way through the corridors. In a tense moment, Booker admits that he has transferred his immortality to Andy. She doubts his words until a gunshot wounds her arm, which instantly heals, confirming her regained power. Booker then reveals his final decision. Weary of immortality and burdened by past mistakes, he chooses to stay behind and face the enemy alone. In the fierce fight that follows, Booker is stabbed multiple times and dies just before Andy's eyes. Meanwhile, Niall reaches the nuclear core room but is confronted by Gwen. A brutal duel ensues. Niall lands a fatal blow, shocking Gwen when the wound fails to heal, revealing that she has lost her immortality. Suddenly, Discord appears and stabs Niall in the back. She incapacitates Niall, binds her, and drags her away, leaving the reactor on emergency lockdown. A short time later, Andy finds Gwen holding a detonator. Seeing the destruction around her, and realizing that Discord has been using her to trap Andy and the team, Gwen decides to stop the bombs from detonating. Meanwhile, Andy hears the sound of helicopters approaching. She rushes outside and spots Discord escaping with captured team members. Without hesitation, Andy leaps onto one of the helicopters but is shot in the head and falls. Minutes later, Andy rises again, filled with determination. She jumps back onto Discord's helicopter and drags her old enemy out. A fierce fight breaks out in midair as they battle above the skies of Jakarta, their weapons clashing violently. During the aerial duel, Andy notices that Discord is no longer immortal. This revelation uncovers the true motive behind the kidnapping. Discord intends to steal the team's immortal powers and transfer them into herself through an ancient ritual that only the first and last immortals can perform. Discord wounds Andy with her sword before escaping in a helicopter, taking Joe, Nikki, Tua, Copley, and Niall captive. After the defeat, Andy brings the badly injured Gwen to Tua's base. She searches ancient records for ways to restore immortality, but finds nothing. A few days later, Gwen recovers and forgives Andy for their past conflicts. Their bond heals, and for the first time in centuries, they reunite as allies. Now, Andy and Gwen prepare for their next mission, to track down Discord and rescue the captured team before their immortal powers fall into the wrong hands. So the moral of the story is never ignore your trapped immortal ex in a box, or she might team up with a megalomaniac to nuke the planet.